Hey, what's up? I'm Marc Clarke, and my message today, I'm sharing with you how to be an amazing communicator on any platform. Now, I am not a spring chicken, okay? I've been in the game a long time. I've been in media for over 30 years, and things are different now than they were when I first got into it. Back in the day, to get on a platform, you had to be vetted. You had TV, radio, newspaper, print. That's how old I am. Okay, that's what it was. And on all of those vehicles, all those platforms, you basically had to get vetted. You had to work your way into getting on the platform, right? So what's changed, of course, is a lot. Is number one is anybody can have their show now on their own platform. With the power of your phone, you can have your own show, your own TV show, your own magazine, your own whatever. Okay, it's instant access now, and a lot of people are doing it. Some people are doing it amazingly. Some people suck, but my message today is to help you become a better, more effective communicator. Coming from somebody who not only majored in radio, television, broadcasting, not only has done it for over 30 years on these platforms I mentioned, but somebody who's passionate about it and loves it, okay? And I think that's very important. So the first thing I want to say is you need to know your audience. You know, for the last, I guess, couple years, 2 to 5 years, I've actually been on television, which was different for me because I started off in radio years ago. And so specifically black radio. So in black radio, Marc Clarke and the Big Fat Morning Show, my target audience was African Americans 25 to 54. That was my target specific audience. And therefore, my content and what I talked about really appealed to that group. That's what the goal was. Okay. Now, for the last couple of years, I'm on television. Television is called the shotgun approach because in television, you have a very diverse audience, young and old, different nationalities, different races, different colors, different creeds. And so therefore, my presentation as Marc Clarke in the Big Fat Morning Show is different than my presentation as Marc Clarke, host of Be More Lifestyle, or Marc Clarke as a reporter for So Baltimore. Different, more general. Put on a suit. I wouldn't be dressed like this is my radio outfit. I would be, have on a suit. The presentation is important. And here's the blessing for me, though. I will say this for me, and everybody comes from different backgrounds. So for me, coming from a Springfield, Illinois, which had about a 12% African American population, and Springfield gave me, and being from the Midwest, it allowed me to be middle of the road. They call middle of the road. Now that's a term kind of meaning in radio, it was a radio station that kind of played something for everybody. And so as a communicator, I'm kind of a middle of the road guy. Even though I'm African American, coming up in a Springfield, I didn't have a whole bunch of colloquialisms. I didn't have a whole bunch of phrases that some people would not be aware of. Pretty much middle of the road, milk toast. You know what I mean? Pretty much easy to understand. So that gave me a huge advantage because, to be honest, I think it helped me be able to be my authentic self in any kind of room or on any kind of platform, or just in general when talking to people. I'm pretty much, if I'm in New York or if I'm in Indiana, I pretty much can be clearly understood because I don't have a lot of colloquialisms or things that follow me from different places that are specific to where I'm from, right? I worked in the South a long time, so I actually kind of sound Southern now. And I actually worked in New York for a short time. I don't sound New York, but I'm just saying these are things that influence how you come across, how people understand you, and what people think about you. So the first step is know your audience, right? So obviously, as I mentioned, on radio, on black radio, hip hop radio, Marc Clarke's, the way I communicated was differently than how I communicated slightly when I was just doing an entertainment show on television or a lifestyle show on television for a more broader audience, okay? Number two, know your information. Master your content. This is something that I think we're in an age of silos. So people now gravitate towards things they're interested in and things that they believe in and personalities and content that they care about, that they're interested in. And so what I love about the podcast world now is that, not every, but every specific thing has a market, basically. And what they're finding in the research is that the more specific it is, the more success it has in the podcast world. So in other words, you do a podcast, if you're generic, if you're generic and kind of like all over the place, then you don't have as much success as if you're very specific, you know? So in other words, I'm doing a podcast on basket weaving. The basket weavers love you. You know what I mean? I'm doing a podcast on big toes. I have a podcast focusing on big toes and what they mean to me. There's somebody out there, believe it or not, that loves big toes. But here's the thing. Whatever that thing is, you need to master your content. You can't be in there hemming and hawing and not necessarily knowing, or you have to have a definite take or passion about it. You can be wrong, but as long as you're passionate about it, as long as you're feeling it, you're creating emotion, and it's authentic, there's an audience out there, believe it or not, for that. And so, okay, like I said, number one, know your audience. Number two, master your content and be comfortable with it and actually be passionate about it. That's a big factor. A lot of times, I'll say this, a lot of times when you are presented, let's say you're working for a company, if you don't believe in the product, if you're not very on top of the content, it can show. People know. If you're not interested, if you're not excited about it, if you don't master the information, then guess what? The people watching you probably feel the same way. They don't care. It's like, have you ever seen somebody that gets in front of a crowd and is lukewarm or, milk toast and not that interesting and actually not that passionate about what they're talking about? You lose the people because they feel the same damn way. Ain't nobody trying to hear all that. But if you come up there and you're excited about it, and you know what you're talking about, if you know the information, you know the content, you actually grasp their attention and you keep their attention, right? So that's something to know. So a lot of times, again, when you're on these platforms, you see these podcasts, a lot of times, are people speaking correct English? No. Are people, are they actually talking facts? No. But what they have is passion. They have a point of view, and they mastered whatever they're talking about. Now, a lot of times it's foolishness, but a lot of these people have mastered foolishness. Yes, mastered foolishness. And a lot of times there are people who are skilled in a topic, or they might be experts in the topic, but the way they deliver it is not passionate, and it is not, they don't know how to gather or catch people's attention. I really marvel at a lot of people like myself who've been trained in communications, who have degrees and experience in it. When you look at their podcasts, you look at their shows, they kind of suck because they're not bringing the passion. They know how to say something, but what is you talking about? I know I said that's incorrect, but again, it catches your eye, it catches your ear when I say, what are you talking about, right? So these are techniques that some people are really good at. It's not a lot of times it's not the information, it's how you present the information. So that's a big factor. Then lastly, be authentic. Be authentic. Now, I'm gonna give you a caveat here. In radio especially, and actually actors are the same. Be authentic or be a hell of an actor. So in other words, what I'm saying is some people, like myself, I'm a natural communicator. I enjoy people. I enjoy talking. I enjoy communicating. I'm curious. So actually, this thing for me is what I love to do. This thing for me, I'm passionate about. This thing for me is something that I just do in my normal life. If I meet you at a party, some people hate small talk. I love small talk. I don't call it small talk. I meet somebody at a party and they say, well, I sell toenail clippers. I'm fascinated. Well, tell me more about toenail clippers. What do you like, the wooden toenail clipper or do you like the steel? What's the best material to make a toe clipper out of? Do they stink? I'm genuinely, I care about that thing. So for me, being my authentic self is a plus. It's an advantage. It helps me out. Now, especially in radio, you look at people like Howard Stern. I know some of you young people may never heard of him, but most of you people maybe have heard of Howard Stern in the world. A lot of these people who are famous broadcasters or famous personalities, it's all a shtick. It's all an act. They really are introverts. Actors, they you love them for what they do on screen, but really they're introverts. So if you can't be your authentic self, or your authentic self kind of sucks and it's not interesting, then create a character and Be that authentic character. Be that fake thing that you created. But you know what I'm saying? If that's going to if that's captivating, because with all these different platforms, this is a big challenge. You know, it can be frustrating when we look at a lot of these different podcasts because it seems like everybody's over the top, every headline's clickbait, everybody's saying outrageous things, and it's just to get listeners or viewers or clicks, right? So how are you going to approach it with your uh, platform or what you're presenting? Well, you're going to have to be entertaining. You're going to have to, maybe it's your information. Like, for instance, I love Malcolm Gladwell. I love his podcast. He's not over the top. He doesn't have clickbait. He has powerful information, things that you did not know. You know what I mean? He's brilliant. He's brilliant, and that's what his podcast really is. It's a point of view that is unique and brilliant and filled with information you may not be aware of. That's his hook. So what's your hook? What's your hook to make people want to know about what you're doing? If it's your business, if it's your podcast, if it's your show, look, everybody has a camera now. Everybody has a motion, has a camera, and everybody has a platform. So how do you separate? How do you make a name for yourself? How do you bust through? Okay, this is what you have to do. So again, this is just a brief presentation about how you can be an amazing communicator on any platform. Of course, you can get more information. You can follow me, and I can take you down that road, down that path to be the communicator that you need to be. Because here's the most frustrating thing for me, to be honest, is I have friends who are amazingly entertaining, who are brilliant, but when they get in front of that camera, when they get on stage, when they get on that platform, they're flat, and it's just kind of like, it's like, no, you're better than this. And that's what we all want to be. We want to be that thing that we know we are, even if we're scared to come out, So I can help it come out. All right. Hope you enjoyed the presentation. See you soon.